se Dominus veniet, et omnes sancti eiuscum
Is from Luke chapter 18, 35 to 42. And again, what I want to kind of do is focus on a part of this passage that that I never paid attention to. It's a little like, how magicians, when they're going to saw their assistant in half or something, or pull a rabbit out of the hat, they distract you. They draw your attention to something else so you don't notice the really central thing, important thing that's going on. Well, sometimes it's that way with the gospel, I think, that there is a part that just springs out at you, and it's really not necessarily the most interesting part. So anyway, here it goes. As Jesus drew near to Jericho, a blind man was sitting by the roadside begging. And hearing a multitude going by, he inquired what this meant. They told him, Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. And he cried out, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. And those who were in front of the procession rebuked him, telling him to be silent. But he cried out all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. And Jesus stopped and commanded him to be brought to him. And when he came near, he asked him, What do you want me to do for you? He said, Lord, let me receive my sight. And Jesus said to him, Receive your sight, your faith has made you well. And immediately he received his sight and followed him, glorifying God. And all the people, when they saw it, gave praise to God. Okay, we all know this. But I want to focus on at least two things here that I had never noticed. The first is Jesus is passing by with this entourage, right? This group of people. And the blind man by the side of the road is crying out, Jesus, Son of David. First of all, let me point out something else that I just noticed. So the blind man hears this commotion and says, what's going on? And they told him, Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. Okay, Jesus of Nazareth. Now, Jesus of Nazareth, it could be anybody, right? I mean, it's a person. It's Jesus in his humanity. It's not saying anything special about Jesus. But then he cries out, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. So the people in the entourage, and the people in the front of the entourage, right, who might be the most important people, right, like the apostles or something, or the disciples or something, they just say Jesus of Nazareth. And it's this blind man who says, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Now, Son of David is a title of the Messiah, right? So it's the blind man who recognizes that Jesus is God. It's not the people who are following him, it's not the fans around him. It's this blind man who actually elevates, honors Jesus far, far more than the people who are buddy-buddy with him. And those who were in front rebuked him, telling him to be silent, but he cried out the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. He's not even saying Jesus now. He's just saying Son of David, Messiah, God, have mercy on me. So, he's really glorifying Jesus. And Jesus stopped and commanded him to be brought to him, and so forth. And we know the happy ending, and I'll continue in a moment. But I want to point out something. I'll do this in the context of the traditional Latin Mass versus the Novus Ordo, or I can express this in the context of Catholics versus Protestants, or even Christians versus non-Christians, which is, I'll say in the case of Catholics versus Protestants, you'll see how this is equally applicable. We think we are in the procession surrounding God, right? We are in the inner circle We are his entourage. And somebody outside of us, we think has kind of missed the boat. And we can be a little bit snobbish about it. I mean, think about the Christian view that any non-Christian has no relationship with God, or the pious person, the religious person's view that anyone who is embedded in sin has no possibility of a relationship with God. I know that's really scandalous, right? But who are we? Who are we to limit God? Who are we to tell God who he can respond to when people cry out to him, and how he can respond to them when people cry out to him, right? So, we might watch a televangelist, and we can say, they're really missing the boat. He's really missing the boat. But if you have anyone crying out Jesus for help, not only are we in no position to say Jesus isn't going to respond, but we're actually in no position to say we're more pleasing to Jesus than they are. Okay? If they're really crying out to Jesus from the bottom of their hearts, and if we are kind of like taking everything for granted, which was the case in this parable, they might make it to heaven a lot better than us, so to speak. The same thing with someone mired in mortal sin. And I'll get personal here. When I had my theophany, when Christ revealed himself to me, I was mired in mortal sin. I thought I had accepted God in that experience. And it took time for me to realize what that meant. And it took time for him to gradually show me how many things in my life would have to change. But he didn't turn his back on me at all. I mean, he knew the future, and he was patient, and he took me step by step. It's like the parable of the wheat and the tares, right? Where the master says, no, don't tear up the weeds yet. Wait until the harvest, because you might tear up, the wheat instead of a tare. So to me, this parable is a cautionary tale that we who are in the procession, so to speak, with Jesus, have to be very careful about telling people who are not in the procession, shut up and be quiet. Because look at what happened in this case. And then something else, which is, okay, this blind beggar cried out, Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. And everyone said, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, don't bother him. And he just cried out louder, okay? In other words, he didn't fear human respect. He didn't mind what people thought of him. He was yelling out that Jesus is God, essentially. He was yelling out that Jesus is the Messiah, and he wouldn't be shut up about it. And he did not mind what people thought of him. And again, are we as well off as he is, so to speak? In other words, do we cry out, Jesus is Lord, even when people around us, are making fun of us and telling us to shut up? So his ignoring the response of the crowd is also a big part of this. He didn't care about the response of the crowd. And there was a Kamala Harris rally that became quite famous. It was about a week or two before the election. But she had this rather large rally, and a guy in the back called out, Jesus is Lord. And he got hustled out of there by security, and Kamala Harris made fun of him, and he cried out a second time. Maybe he was the blind man here. Maybe that was a really, really wonderful thing to do. And can you imagine a Catholic doing that, really? So again, I don't think we should be snobs. I think we're better off not being like this crowd that was, encircling Jesus and being a snob about the blind beggar crying out, son of David. And finally, what he did crying, recognizing him as God and not caring what people thought and just yelling out, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. And then just yelling out, Son of David, Messiah, have mercy on me, was so pleasing to Jesus that what did Jesus say to him? Jesus' response wasn't, come here and join the party or something. Jesus just turned to him and said, what do you want me to do for you? So this reminds me of The Godfather, right? You did me a favor. You did me a favor. What favor do you want me to do for you? When somebody does me a favor, I return the favor. It was a little bit like The Godfather, that Jesus was, you really did something for me there. What can I do for you? Jesus obviously knew what the guy would like to be done for him. But no, he was giving him a blank check. You did something for me. Now let me do something for you. You tell me what you want me to do for you. So, he was really, really, really saying kudos to you. Again, it's a great encouragement. So stand up for Jesus. So that's it.
Ecce Dominus